Hi, my name is David Wallman. Thank you for joining me for today's masterclass in which we're going to talk about chromatic passages. And we're also going to talk about skeletons and connections. It's really interesting concept. I think it simplifies everything. We're going to check it out. But before we do, I really need to talk to you about the gear that I'm going to use today. It's kind of special. I'm really excited and surprised about this. So this is one of my first guitars. This is an Ibanez RG. I got this for my 18th birthday. So this is a 22-year-old guitar. I've had this for 22 years. It was not this color originally, and it was basically in the closet for a long time, and it really needed some work. So I basically put it back together. I asked my friend Michael to put this back together. My daughter Sloan, she's 3. Did the artwork. This is crayon, so I need to cover it with something that will, make it last, like some kind of lacquer or something. But it plays like a dream. This is incredible. I love this guitar, so yeah, you might see a little more. I'm going to use this. I'm also using a sound that comes with Logic Pro 10. This is what I've been using for the Masterclass sessions. It's basically a string patch, and I've got a sustain pedal. So whenever I press the pedal, that's going to make the chord last as long as I have the sustain pedal pressed so that I can play over it. Going through my ActiveX2, and anyways, let's get started. This is a very simple concept, but I think we can expand on this quite a bit and create some musical ideas that sound a lot more complex than they really are. I love stories, and I love to do anything I do in relation to a story, a simple story. I feel if you simplify things, it becomes easier to manage, and you can progress that way. Basically, the story here is the story of a skeleton. I've talked about that in a previous video, but I think it's a good reminder, and I use this all the time. Let's consider the scale that we all know, the minor pentatonic scale. Let's work in the key of D. So if I play a D minor chord, I can play a D minor pentatonic. That minor pentatonic is going to work over the chord because the notes of the chord are extracted from the notes of that minor pentatonic scale. That's basic harmony, and that's how it works. You match musical elements together. If we look now visually at that minor pentatonic scale in the first position, we see that we have 2 notes per string. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. These notes are going to be the skeleton. And if you look at a skeleton in real life, you just see a skeleton. You can gather some clues, but unless you're really into biology, you can't really know if that's the skeleton of a woman, a man, how old, and the color of the skin and all that. You don't really have details. You just know that, okay, that's a skeleton. That's human, hopefully. And that's all you get. So it's very basic, right? Pretty basic information that is gathered from that skeleton. And that's what the minor pentatonic is. It's a skeleton. We are missing some essential notes that will add the details to that skeleton, that will tell you if that minor pentatonic skeleton is a Dorian skeleton, an Aeolian skeleton, a Phrygian skeleton. Because these notes, the bones of the skeleton, are found within the more complex bodies. In other words, if you look at the Aeolian mode, you can extract from it a minor pentatonic scale. If you look at the Phrygian mode, you can extract from it the same skeleton, the minor pentatonic scale. Same with the Dorian. If you play a Dorian mode, you can extract from it the same exact skeleton. And that's why that minor pentatonic scale is a safe scale to use, because, you find it, you can extract that skeleton from multiple bodies. Make sense? Okay. Now, that also explains that if you just play minor pentatonic scale, even though it's expressive, it is not super detailed. You only have 5 notes. Right? Just 5 notes. You can play in multiple areas of the fretboard, but in essence, you're just playing 5 notes. So it's not super detailed, but that's okay. It can be very expressive. Now here's where this becomes really interesting. If we consider these 2 notes per strings, the bones, we can fill in the flesh. We can add between those bones the muscles, the flesh, and all that. And we don't really need to know what exactly how those connections are made. We're just going to connect those bones together in a straightforward manner. In other words, if you have 2 bones here, we're going to connect them with all the different things that we can connect these 2 bones with, okay? So we're basically doing a chromatic passage between this bone and this one. And same in the next string. Now the connections are going to be shorter because there's only 1 note in between, but that's okay, that's what we'll do. Some of these connections, the tendons, the flesh, the muscles, whatever, some of these are going to be proper to a very unique body. In other words, some of these connections, some of these chromatic passages are going to be really part of the Dorian mode, for example, the Dorian body, or the Aeolian body, or the Phrygian body. If we just play the bones, we don't really know. If we fill in everything in between, at some point, one of these notes is going to be very characteristic of one of the more detailed bodies, Aeolian, Dorian, Phrygian. We don't know which one, but that's just to explain that if we only played the bones with all these connections, we're starting to get more details. Here's just the skeleton. Sounds fine. Now, the skeleton with all the connections in between, sounds more detailed. Some of these notes are going to be okay. Some of these notes are going to be less okay, depending on the key, but that adds some more details. And that's what we're going to use. We're going to consider the landing notes, the strong notes, the bone notes, the skeleton notes. In other words, if you're thinking pentatonic shape, the first position, for example, those strong notes are going to be the extremity notes, the one that is closest to the neck and the one that is closest to the bridge. In between, you've got details. Right? The only thing you need to do now is to phrase musically with these concepts, regardless of really the position you're in. And if you're just pentatonic scale, you have 5 of them. In order to do that, there are 2 key things you need to do. You need to land on a bone, and you need to phrase rhythmically. As far as the rhythm phrasing thing goes, I really think that it's beneficial to have some kind of rhythm motif in the back of your mind, a subdivision. I use 16th notes most of the time. I think most modern music players will benefit from having those 16th notes. And here's how it goes. Let's again phrase with that first position of D minor pentatonic. And if we have this subdivision in the back of our mind, we're going to start phrasing with that, making rhythm motifs. That doesn't mean that we're only going to play the 16th notes, because that'll be very repetitive. That's not what I mean. I mean, anytime you play a note, it should fall on one of these 16th subdivisions. So let's have a D minor 7 chord in the back. And we're going to make our subdivision. I could phrase something like this. And if I add those connections between the bones and I land on a bone, it might sound something like this. For example, and that opens up the that opens the door to more development in your phrasing, I think. Okay, so let's talk about some of the ways that you can use those chromatic passages to step outside a little bit of the box. Lately, I've been creating masterclasses and courses on playing outside a little bit and coming back in. You can check those out. But a simple way to do that is to take this this full skeleton with the flesh in between, and whenever you want to go outside, just slip in and out by either moving your phrase one fret above or one fret below. I'm going to improvise a little bit, again, using that D minor 7 chord. And I'm going to step in and out, and I'm going to use different positions, and we'll see what comes out of it. You like this idea, and I would really encourage you to take this to heart and apply this to any pentatonic scale position that you're in. Just remember, the pentatonic is your skeleton. Fill in the connections in between those bones. Land on a bone, think rhythmically, and explore new concepts like that and see where this can take you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, I have a lot more on this channel. You should definitely check it out. I actually put together a playlist that will appear here on this page with all my lessons and all my master classes. So you just hit play and you'll have, I don't know how many days of lessons, but at this point it's probably days. Enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this. Subscribe if you haven't already so that you can keep up to date for the new videos, and you'll know when I'm live here. I do some live events, a little more too. I'll see you next time. Practice well. See you.